Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Good, good.
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Cool. How's it going? How's the reading and writing going?
Doing good.
Silence. Silence. Yeah.
Hi,
¿Cómo estás? How you doing?
I'm fine. I missed you last week.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Súper bien, súper bien. ¿Y tú? Cool. So that's good. I asked how's the reading and writing going in silence. So that's good. That's useful information already.
Um,
It's that halfway point. It's week 7. We're just about, well, next week is halfway, but
So Professor Jeff, you
Because-
say,
yeah, Carrie.
quick question. You say that we can change the theme we
Mhm.
picked once in the quiz once we started writing. Is that true?
Yep.
Okay. Because this is what I'm going to do. While I'm, as I start writing it, and I think, maybe this is more interesting. So.
That I love that, Hiroe. I think that's what happened. That's what writing really is. You know, I think a lot of students have this idea that you have the one perfect idea, like God delivers you the perfect idea in one flash of light or something. But no, really, right? It's writing is the ultimate process. It's about time and trying something, and oh, that thing made me think about this other thing, and that's a better idea. And so, yeah, I think. Absolutely, you can
Okay.
change.
Okay.
Yeah. Fada's here, Ahmad's here, Anna and Jay and Hong are here.
Professor,
Tell me.
I have a question. So you said on the narrative, we have to pick a theme from the list that you gave us,
Yes.
the readings, but
Yes.
the ideology has to be one of those listed. Is that right?
Yes, I that's my idea. If you have another ideology or theme that's connected to some of the ideas from that we've talked about from translation, I'd be open to that. Do you have another idea?
No, I was just confused because like theme has to like match up with the ideology of the ones that you listed. So I'm trying to figure out because I wanted to do the mother tongue,
Yes.
but I'm not sure which one would relate to the listed ideologies that you have.
You want to, I'm a little bit confused, Jay, because so what I want is to take some ideology or some idea, some theme from why translation matters, and use that as a theme in your narrative writing. So like for your essay, you're not going to be writing about mother tongue. I mean, I'm glad that you like mother tongue, but mother tongue has different ideologies that you'd be more interested in writing about. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about this today. If people have one-on-one examples, I guess. Can I ask Jay, since we're just waiting a few more minutes, what would the theme be? What would the ideology be, Jay?
Because, wait, it's not the mother tongue. It was like the fate ideal. Sorry.
Okay.
It was the anthropology of myself.
Sure.
So she was talking about like career change. Like she was talking being a Buddhist nun, and then before it was just like for research at first, like her purpose in going there was just for research, but she had like a change of heart that she really wanted to like find like the truth.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm trying to lean on.
Yeah. I'd say my first idea is yes, that's fine. I'd rather it be about language, but if you feel like there's a story that you really want to tell and you feel really clear that you can connect that to a very clear theme, like that the theme will be clear to me, I think that should be okay. And I think maybe we could talk, or even if you just send me a short email, or maybe you wrote about it in the quiz, to connect. I would just want to make sure that the narrative you tell is it's clearly connected to the theme. Even more important, and this is true for everybody, you guys, not just at Jay. The most important thing that I want from this assignment that I'm grading for above all is it clear that the narrative you tell clearly connects to your theme? That's the most important thing I want you guys to be practicing with this. So, and the descriptive writing's fun. Hopefully you enjoy writing detailed descriptions of things from your past experiences, things you remember, sights and smells and sounds and all that stuff. But from the big picture, teaching you guys about writing point of view, the most important thing to me is that your narrative clearly connects to a theme. Yeah, that was a really long answer, Jay, but I'll look at what you wrote. Did you write about that for the invention activity, or did you do something different?
I'm just starting it because I don't know, like I need to ask the question earlier.
Got it. Write about your idea and your theme. Write about that in the quiz, and then I can look at it.
Okay.
I'm going to be doing a lot of grading this weekend. I see Hiroe's hand, little blue hand. What's up?
Quick question. Did you mention anything about the maximum, minimum word numbers?
I think in the document it says 1,500
okay.
words.
Only? I'm kidding.
Hey,
Yeah, put
yeah, it did 1,500. I looked at it and I was like, I know you guys are 350, but that, you know, that is a lot of words. So, you know, you guys, I love this class. I'm not too worried about it. The most important thing again to me is is your narrative clearly connected to a theme? And if you can clearly tell that story in 12 or 1,300 words, I'm not going to be too worried about it. You know what I mean? It's more important for the lower level classes to force them to just keep writing. I'm not too worried about you guys if you're up here at 350.
Kind of guideline then.
Yeah.
1,500. Got it. Okay.
Like I said, at 350, I don't think it's important, but it's not as important. Good. We've got a tiny little. Sorry, Anna is Natasha using my daughter's computer. Hi, Natasha. Hi, I'm Natasha. Glad you're here. Cool. Any other questions? So we've only got, what, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 9 students. Okay. We're getting tired. Hadi, what's up?
Hello, Professor.
Good to see you.
I have a question about the today due date homework. I couldn't find the source that is quiz. It has some question about what part you like or something.
Did you watch the video from last week?
Yeah.
Are you sure you watched the video from last week?
we did 2 times.
And Letty, was it clear what I wanted you to do for the invention activity after you watched the video?
Mm-hmm.
No, I talked too fast there. So Letty and Hadi, you said you watched last week's video.
Yes.
Then I talked a lot about the invention activity. Did you understand what I wanted you to do for that assignment?
Yes.
Hey.
I'm working hard in that.
Good. Okay. Hadi, if you go to, I'll get started. I'm tired too, you guys. The president has COVID. The world is insane. I don't even know what is happening. All I can think about is the fact that this country that I'm pretty fond of, is in just absolute freaking meltdown, chaos, insanity. So I'm doing my best to be here for all of you, but it is wild, you guys. It is freaking insane. It is insane. Okay, I'm done. You're always saying yes. I can't, it's all I can think about. It's absolutely insane. Okay. Let's see. Hadi is saying, Jeff, on the invention activity, you say what story, what theme? You need to go to course materials, and you have a big menu to choose from. Here I say, a map is only one story. These are example narratives. These are just audio files that I recorded of stories. These where it says narrative writing, these are PDFs. So then you can read, I told this class, right? You could read 1, you could read 3, you could read all of them. But you need to read at least 1 to do that invention activity that was due today. So when it says, what story did you read or listen to, it means one of these, right? And then when it says, when it says, what was the theme of that story? I'm saying, okay, like Jay was talking about reading Amy Tan's Mother Tongue. So then you'd say, okay, I read Mother Tongue, and then you'd tell me what was the theme for that story. Or if you read cracking the code. What was the theme for cracking the code? Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, this looks like maybe who's going to be here today. Any other like sort of little short, not little, but sort of short questions before we get started for today?
I sent you an email, Professor. Did you have a
With
chance?
draft? Yeah, I haven't read. Gazwan is on it, you guys. So I'll use Gazwan's question as an example. If you have a draft and you want me to take a look at it, it's easier for me if you can come to office hours, but if you can't, send it to me and I will send it back to you. Gazwan emailed me a second, so I got to see his first draft last week, and I got a second draft
Actually,
yesterday, or I forget, was it earlier than that? I will look at it and send it back, I promise.
thank you. I just write a complete different one.
I love it. Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, yeah, we can talk. Gazwan, we will definitely talk. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. I got almost all my emails done yesterday and today. Any other questions before we get started for today? Let's go. Here's what I want to do. I want to do a check-in. And then really, I don't want to talk a lot about, I don't want to share a bunch of new stuff with you today. It's not my goal to like teach you some other thing that you also have to do for the writing. It's really to find out where you are, how you're feeling, and what you need to start writing, or if you've started writing, to feel confident and comfortable about submitting your assignment. So that's really what most of today's focus is. So I said a check-in and then a Q&A, and then I'm just going to look at sort of more narrative writing. If we want to look at more examples together, we can do that. If people have really specific individual questions about their own writing, we can do that. This is kind of a really student-based class today. So my goal is that you guys get what you need. It's not to show a bunch of new stuff to you. So that's the plan for today. So here's our check-in, and maybe we'll only do, well, maybe 3 groups. Here are the 3 questions that I want you to think about as you talk to each other. 1, which example narratives did you read or listen to? Next, what did you notice about the connection between theme, narrative, and descriptive writing? Again, that's really what I want to talk about today. How do you connect theme, narrative, and description? And how are you feeling about writing your own narrative? Remember, scared and confused is totally appropriate. Just you got to tell me if you feel that way so that we can talk about it. Or if you feel great and comfortable and confident, enjoy, and maybe you can share with other people how you got there and tell them, give them your wisdom. Make sense what I want you to talk about, these 3 questions? And then of course, whatever else comes up, just like usual, I'm sure. Cool. Any questions before I put you in the small groups? Ahmad, tell me.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So, Professor, I have a question. How much freedoms do we have if we switch between the proposed themes? I mean, I choose one thing and then I switch it to a different thing.
Yeah. And I think, again, I kind of said this to Hiraway and I kind of said this to Jay, you know, if your theme, the most important thing to me is that I know what your theme is and your theme clearly connects to the narrative. You know what I mean? Like, so if your theme isn't one from the list, that was really just to give you some suggestions, some ideas, and a way to connect these issues of identity and culture to language. So I do want to make sure that you keep some part of language in there. But if you have a different theme, or especially to Hira's question, if you had an idea for this week, and then a week from now you have a different theme and maybe even a different story, that's totally fine too. Like I said, that's I think that's part of the writing process. So with this class, I feel I trust you guys. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, Professor.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, I know I've said it 2 or 3 times, but again, if people are watching on video and stuff, connect your theme to your narrative. That's the biggest test for this, type of writing. I know you all can write narrative writing. I know that. But how do you tell your story in a way that there's a clear theme? Letty, what's up?
Yes, I don't have no problem when I have to choose or one the narrative history you have.
Yeah.
I don't have no problem. The problem is the coming with this book.
But remember, with Why Translation Matters?
Yes,
but
because
remember,
it's really hard to me get the theme, you know,
well, that's why you don't
relation.
That's totally fine. So that's why I'm giving you this list, right? Themes from Why Translation Matters. I'm giving them to you. Even if you only understood one page of that whole book, that's fine. But I want you to choose one of these themes. These themes, I promise you, are in the book. So 5 years from now, when your English is, you know, even greater, you can go back and reread this beautiful book. But I'm just giving you the themes, like you know what I mean? So like, in my mind, if you're still thinking, oh my God, what theme am I going to do for, if you're going to tell a story about language, I think what? Translation is very important. Translation keeps languages fresh and healthy. Good translation is possible. These
That
are
one is a, mhm.
good. Letty likes that one. I was going to say, these are pretty general themes. Do you know what I mean? Like, these aren't complex and scary ideas. So if these are the themes that make the most sense to you, Letty, if you say good translation is possible, that's a great theme, then great. Just choose that one and make sure you tell a story that shows, that connects to that theme. And of course, you don't know how to do it because you've never done it yet. So just try, and then let me tell you what I see, and then you can try again and get a higher.
Yes, 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 I will. Thank
Okay.
you, Professor.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great question. Okay, now I will put you back in the, I'll actually put you in the groups now. Thank you, Ahmad and Letty, both excellent questions.
Thank
I
you.
know the essay is probably the only thing on our brains right now. So, but remember, we're getting ready to write, and I'm a big believer that reading is writing, right? Especially for an assignment like this. The more of these narratives you read, you guys, I promise your essay will be better. The more you read, the more examples you read. So that's why these questions, what'd you read or listen to? And if you didn't read anything, again, why just maybe instead of saying, oh, I'm so bad, I hate myself, why? Were you busy? What was going on? Were you freaking out about the fact that the president of the United States has COVID and is the dumbest human being that's ever lived on the planet Earth? I was very worried about that this week. And how are you feeling about getting ready to write? Okay, I'm putting you into groups now. Obviously, when I talk about this political issue, it's only my opinion, but I don't know how to not talk about it, you guys.
Interesting. We should have it in the
Yes.
topic.
Yeah.
Should maybe if we talk about the essay, if anyone disagrees with me too, I'd love to hear how anyone could think this man is intelligent. I don't understand. Okay, so
Me neither.
I'll put you in your groups. Now you can talk about the president or these questions. I don't care. Let's have fun. Here come the rooms. It's a rouge. I'm just about to bring everybody back, so just hang out for 1 second, then everyone will be back in the main room. Hmm. All right, welcome back. Breakout room 3 is still going. That's good. Usually it means people needed to talk. All right.
Professor,
Tell me.
I have a question about the paraphrasing quiz.
Okay.
I find it challenging to do it.
Yeah.
One of them, I see that's how you translate or you put in the paraphrasing. So we choose, that was easy for us to choose. But when I'm trying to do the paraphrasing for the passage or the paragraph, I find difficulties. I don't know, because maybe there is different meanings for a couple words that I understand it.
Okay. For that passage, that specific passage, or for just paraphrasing in general, or?
No, that's specific passage.
Okay. So maybe we could, okay, so I'm gonna sort of take some notes here about what comes up.
I think he's talking about two last question, yeah? The two last question from the quiz.
No, I think he's talking about the paraphrasing activity. I forget.
Yes.
Okay.
And quiz, yes, you're right.
Which from the what is it, lesson whatever, hold on. I'm still sharing my screen, right, you guys?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at
I think it's 14 or not
this one, 15?
15, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was difficult to two last.
Oh, okay, this last one here, paraphrase
Yes.
the passage below.
Yeah, the last two, that's one, it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, of course. Because they're not multiple choice. Yeah, of course that's more difficult than the multiple choice.
I tried to paraphrasing, but every time I do it, I see there is the style is different. Sometimes I think I got the idea, but when I see I put it in 3-4 sentences, and I see that's 5 or 6 sentences.
Okay, I love this. I'm just sort of, again, like I said, today I'm just trying something a little bit different. I really want to make today's class about where you guys are, how you're feeling, and what you need. So if I'll put this sort of on the list of like stuff that we could spend more time looking at lesson 15, that's totally fine. But I just want to I do want to check in with everybody about these questions or whatever you guys shared in your group. So Gazwan, did this come up in your group, Gazwan, the paraphrasing activity?
Oh no.
Okay, this is just in Gazwan's mind. Okay, that's fine. So what did come up in your groups, and what should we, I think, you know, again, what I'm really trying to figure out is what is the best way to use this time together? Should we review the paraphrasing activity? Should we look at another linguistic narrative example? That's what I want to find out. And the only way for me to know is to know what is on your mind and what you talked about. So
actually, we all talk, I think we talk about the narrative theme. We all confused. Is it connected when we write? Is it connected to our narrative or not?
You know, I mean, I know what you're saying. I think you're saying, I know you know the answer is yes, it should be, but you're trying to think, is the theme clear in your own writing? Is that the idea, Gazwan?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's because hopefully that's normal, because I think that's the newest thing. Yeah. Okay, Ahmad, I think I see your hand.
Yes, I was thinking if you could help us to understand or give us some example how to connect one of the themes to the narrative.
Okay.
I mean, I do understand how to do that one, but more examples or help.
Okay.
Will be
more examples. Okay, love it. Great. What else came up about this topic or anything? Anything?
Professor, it's Natasha.
Tell me.
Like last time we have a nice activity when we listen your story or read the story, and then we divided on 3 parts: theme, narrative, and some details. What is that? The last activity that we did last.
Yeah.
It's very helpful. Very helpful.
So more examples. When I hear that, Natasha, I think another example, or looking at another example together, maybe. Is that right?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, great. Yeah, Hiroi, tell me.
While I started writing the narrative story, I got confused. So I have a question about the tenses I use. So, and also the pronoun, no, what is a pronoun? No, like a subject. The subject is clear. If it's my story, it is me, I, right?
Yeah.
So, but I saw a couple of examples, and some people write in a perfect tense, some people write in present, and if it's time chronological things, I start first sentence as make it clear it is the past, but then all dialogues, do I write in present?
Yeah, great question. Great question, Hiroi. The short answer to this is, and I'm going to try and write this down here, verb tenses when writing narratives. Generally speaking, use the past tenses, which of course would include the simple past and the past progressive if you wanted to, past continuous. And the present perfect could definitely be there, right? It was the first time I had ever visited whatever. I mean, that could, right? I did the past perfect there. So use the past tenses, except you can use the present tense when you talk about And so again, this goes back to Ahmad's question is when you have sentences, so with sentences that explain or connect to your theme, it may be appropriate to use the present tense. And maybe we should just look at another example of this, but that's the basic answer here is when you're doing the narrative writing, the story, beginning, middle, end, it happened in the past, use the past tenses. Okay. Now this does get more difficult as you start to use different tenses in the same paragraph even, but the idea is you should only use the simple present tense when you're saying, I did this, I did that, this happened, that happened, past tense. And now I feel, or now I believe, or now I know, or now I understand. And you switch back to the present tense when you're explaining something that is still true for you now, or that happened as a result of these past experiences. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. Really good question. What else? Osama's here. What's up?
I'm sorry, I'm late.
No problem. Anything else, or you just wanted to apologize? Osama's just saying hi. Okay, here, wait. What else you got?
One more question. Do we need to put a title?
Yeah, I mean, go for it. Go for it. Yeah,
Go
choose
for it. Mean I don't
Yeah.
have to.
I won't take points. It's not. Yeah, I'm not taking points off for no title.
Okay.
I'm
Just gonna-
bad. I'm really bad with titles when I write my poems and when I write short stories. I hate titles. So if you want to, go for it. If you don't, you're not going to lose points.
Okay.
Yeah. Other questions? Because I'm sort of feeling like we should look at some examples. We should look at one more example because that's, I think, the best way, like Natasha and Ahmad were saying, showing how the theme is introduced, showing how the theme shows up or connects to other parts of the narrative is really important. So anything else? Ideas? Questions? Okay, then I'll tell you what I'm going to do in the chat. So the thing that I wanted to, the example that we'll look at together is in Canvas. I'll show you where, but I'm also going to just post it into the chat. So in the chat, I'm going to post the PDF that we're going to look at a little bit together as an example here. It's called I Stand Here Writing by Nancy Summers. So you can download it there. Or if you go into Canvas, you can go to the home page. You can go, like always, to course materials. And it's down here in this list, last one under narrative writing. It says Nancy Summers, I Stand Here Writing. It's an old essay, but it still stands up. That stand up is like an idiom, meaning it still is relevant. I think it's still important. It's still interesting and useful. So it stands up over time. It looks like this. So again, for time then, this one is a little bit longer. So I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing, but I can definitely start and read the first page or two. And let's do sort of the same activity as I'm reading and or you're reading on your own screen. I just want you to start to notice what type, if you look at each paragraph or an idea, where do you see something about the theme and where do you see something that's much more narrative and descriptive writing? And to Hiroe's great question, maybe you start to notice some of these verb tenses and how the verb tense that she's using gives us information about how she feels now, right? What she learned from this story or the narratives or how that connects to her bigger and broader theme. Hold on, I just want to check the chat. I chose this one and wrote about it in the linguistic quiz. Hey, that's awesome, Natalia. I can't wait to read about it. Oh, and I will say, because people have questions about grading and dates and all that stuff, I'll say it now. I'll put it in the slide as well. I am going to be grading a lot for the next 5 days. So my goal is, my plan is, my sort of commitment, assuming I can manage my anxiety about the news, is before Monday. So next Monday is October 11th. Before Monday, everything in Canvas will be up to date. All the grades will be up to date. And you'll know sort of what's going on. Because I think with this class, I'm pretty good, but I'd like to make sure that I'm caught up. So if you're thinking about the linguistic narrative quiz and all that stuff, you'll get much more detailed feedback and grades from me by Monday. So let's look at Nancy Summers. And maybe we can, instead of just me reading the whole thing, maybe I'll read a paragraph or two at a time, and then we can just talk about it, okay? What we notice, what we see. I don't know what you're saying, Osama. Make it bigger, make it smaller. What was the hands?
Yeah, sure.
Make it bigger. And you can have it on your screen too.
If I have to do like this.
This is where I do miss the classroom, because I could just project it on the screen, like on a screen that's 20 feet wide, instead of if we're on our phones or whatever on our laptops. So this is what we'll do then. like I said, I'll read a few paragraphs at a time. I'll stop and talk about what we notice. And then maybe at a certain point, like Natasha was saying, we can go into small groups and have you guys talk about it too. But for now, I'll just read a few paragraphs and just notice theme, narrative, details. What do you notice? And I'll just again say right away, remember, one thing I said, I've still got this in the slides. Remember the theme, I'm saying, the theme is usually introduced early in the writing, returned to throughout the writing, key words, ideas, or images, and often synthesized or echoed at the end. So we can sort of use that framework. So here's Nancy Summers at the beginning here. I stand in my kitchen, wiping the cardamom, coriander, and cayenne off my fingers. My head is abuzz with words, with bits and pieces of conversation. I hear a phrase I've read recently, something about a radical loss of certainty. But I wonder, how did the sentence begin? I search the air for the rest of the sentence, can't find it, shake some more cardamom and a bit of coriander. Then, by some play of mind, I'm back home again in Indiana with my family, sitting around the kitchen table. 2 people are talking, and there are 3 opinions. 3 people are talking, and there are 6 opinions. Opinions grow exponentially. I fight my way back to that sentence, writing. That's how it begins. Writing is a radical loss of certainty, or is it uncertainty? It isn't so great for the chicken when all these voices start showing up with all these sentences hanging in midair, but the voices keep me company. I am a writer, not a cook. And the truth is, I don't care much about the chicken. Stories beget stories. Writing emerges from writing. The truth. Has truth anything to do with the facts? All I know is that no matter how many facts I might clutter my life with, I am as bound to the primordial drama of my family as the earth is to the sun. This year, my father, the son of a severe Prussian matriarch, watched me indulge my daughters and announced to me that he wished I had been his mother. This year, my 39th, my last year to be 30-something, my mother, who has a touch of magic, who can walk into the middle of a field of millions of clovers and find the one with 4 leaves, has begun to think I need help. She sends me cards monthly with 4-leaf clovers taped inside. 2 words neatly printed in capital letters, good luck. I look at these clovers and hear Reynold Price's words. Nobody under 40 can believe how nearly everything's inherited. I wonder what my mother knows, what she's trying to tell me about the facts of my life. When I was in high school studying French, laboring to conjugate verbs, the numerous 4-leaf clovers my mother had carefully pressed inside her French dictionary made me imagine her in a field of clovers, lyrically conjugating verbs of love. This is the only romantic image I have of my mother, a shy and conservative woman whose own mother died when she was 5, whose grandparents were killed by the Nazis, who fled Germany at age 13 with her father and sister. Despite the sheer facts of her life, despite the accumulation of grim, knowable data, the truth is that my mother is an optimistic person. She has the curious capacity always to be looking for luck, putting her faith in 4-leaf clovers, ladybugs, pennies, and other amulets of fortune. She has a vision different from mine, one the facts alone can't explain. I, her daughter, was left for a long time seeing only the ironies. They were my defeats against the facts of my life. In this world of my inheritance, in which daughters can become their fathers' mothers and mothers know their daughters are entering into a world where only sheer good luck will guide them, I hear from my own daughters that I am not in tune with their worlds, that I'm just like a 50s mom, that they are 90s children, and I should stop acting so primitive. My children laugh uproariously at my autograph book, a 1959 artifact they unearthed in the basement of my parents' home. Quote, "Never kiss by the garden gate. Love is blind, but the neighbors ain't," wrote one friend. And my best friend, who introduced herself to me on the first day of first grade, looking me straight in the eye and whispering through her crooked little teeth, "The Jews killed Jesus," wrote in this autograph book, "Mary had a little lamb. Her father shot it dead. Now she carries it to school between 2 slices of bread." My 10-year-old daughter, Rachel, writes notes to me in hieroglyphics and tapes signs on the refrigerator in Urdu. "Salam namaman rakhalast," reads one sign. Simply translated, it means, "Hello, my name is Rachel." Alex, my 7-year-old daughter, writes me lists, new lists each month, visibly reminding me of the many things I need to buy or do for her. This month's list includes a little refrigerator filled with Coke and candy, ears pierced, a new toilet, neon nail polish, and a real adult makeup. How do I look at these facts? How do I embrace these experiences, these texts of my life, and translate them into ideas? How do I make sense of them and the conversations they engender in my head? I look at Alex's list and wonder what kind of feminist daughter I'm raising whose deepest desires include neon nail polish and real adult makeup. Looking at her lists a different way, I wonder if this second child of mine is asking me for something larger, something more permanent and real than adult makeup. Maybe I got that sentence wrong. Maybe it is that love, as well as writing, involves a radical loss of certainty. Okay, only 2 pages. I see Leticia's like looking cross-eyed already. But what do we got? So even if you don't understand, if you're confused, what is she talking about? What do you understand? So we've got some different styles. Like I said, this is a different type of narrative. But like Hiro's question, she does bounce and forth between past tense and present tense. I definitely think there's a clear theme here. And yeah, let's, instead of me talking, what did you guys see and notice, especially thinking about theme, narrative, and description? What did you see and notice? And let's talk about it. Ahmad, go.
I think the theme is as one word. It's her certainty about everything.
Okay, love it. So certainty. And again, if you think about the theme is introduced at the beginning, we definitely get this idea about writing is a radical loss of certainty. And on the second page, I read down to the bottom of the second page, she definitely comes back to this theme within even just 2 pages, right? She's going back to this quote that she introduces in the first paragraph. I love it. So Ahmad says certainty, uncertainty. This is a big theme potentially. Great. What else do we notice?
The description would be her daughter notes on the refrigerator.
Great. So let's see, where's that? So I'll make this big for everybody. Oh, right here. My 10-year-old daughter writes notes to me in hieroglyphics and tapes signs on the refrigerator in Urdu. Now, I do want to go back to what Hiroe was saying about verb tenses. The tricky thing about this type of writing is that it's not exactly academic writing and it's not exactly literary writing. So you notice Nancy Summers uses what is called the literary present very often. Now, I have an English, right? I have degrees in English literature. Very common in English literature to use the present tense even to talk about the past. So for example, William Shakespeare, the sort of like example of the most beautiful English ever written, he died in the 17th century. But if you take an English literature class, very common to read a paper that says Shakespeare writes and use the present tense to talk about even though he's dead, even though he wrote these things 400 years ago, right? So that's an example called the literary present. If you ever took G310 or G320, you might have seen this. Again, if you're a science person, just use the simple past. If you're going into the humanities, if you're gonna take a philosophy class or even a history class, you guys, you're not gonna use the literary present. But if you're coming into, hang out with me in theater and literature and the humanities, then you might see this more often. So yeah, I don't want to confuse you guys, but I'm thinking of Hiroe's question because it's such a good one. So when in doubt for this assignment, you guys, use the past tense. Use the past tense. And if I think it'd be better for the present tense, I'll just tell you that in your first round of feedback for the essay. Great. So I see Sarush and then I see Hiro's hand. So I just want to repeat again, Ahmad was saying one theme that he sees even in these first two pages, this idea of certainty and uncertainty. Sarush, what did you notice? What did you see?
Yeah, just I ask about the narrative essay which you will write that, and how it's connected about, for example, translation has been a very important part of human history. Yeah, how we can connect it, because we write about myself. I will write about myself, and how to connect it to that general ideology.
Yeah, I think that there's no one way to do it. I think many people said it would be good to just look at this example, because then we can see how other people do it, right? There's an infinite number of ways to do it, right? I think the only thing I'd say for sure, Mohammed, is write a paragraph at the beginning that introduces the theme. And I agree with Ahmad. I think in this theme, we get some different details and different information, but we definitely get the theme right away, right? So if your theme is translation is good and translation helps human history, that's great. You write some introductory paragraph where you introduce that idea and then give us a narrative that connects to it, right? Because in this first example, we get this image of her cardamom, coriander, cayenne, all, I'd say, descriptive writing, senses, like she's cooking, you can sort of feel or smell the spices that are in the air, right? So she has this sort of very descriptive writing. Then my head is a buzz with words, with bits of pieces and conversations. Again, this is somewhere between descriptive and narrative writing, right? We do have this kind of story of her. She's in the kitchen, she's adding spices, she's cooking, she's thinking, she's smelling things. Okay, so stuff is happening. She's thinking about things while this is happening. But the only reason that these thoughts are important is because of some of this stuff, where she introduces words, opinions, speaking, writing. And here she gets this kind of at the end, writing is a radical loss of certainty. And then again, she goes right back into chicken and cooking and stuff. But it's clear, right? I'm a writer, not a cook, she says. So right away, we know she's interested in writing. But the truth is, I don't care much about the chicken. What does she care about? Stories and writing, right? So, and even if you look at the title, this is why I wish I were better with titles, Hiroe, to think about Hiroe's good question. I'm not good at coming up with titles, but titles can be helpful because the title here is I Stand Here Writing, right? So, I mean, clearly we know she's telling us this story has something to do with writing, obviously. And then in the first paragraph, we get some information about writing is a radical loss of certainty. Stories beget. Beget means create more. Beget means almost like you have a child, right? So stories make more stories. Writing emerges from more writing. So she's introducing these big thematic, big theme ideas right at the very beginning while she's cooking. It's almost like she's standing there cooking, adding cardamom or whatever. But really what she's doing is she's really just thinking. She's thinking about, oh, what's writing? What does that mean? What's going on? Kind of those bigger ideas. Osama, did I see your hand? Oh, I'm sorry. Hiroe had her hand up and then Osama. Hiroe, what's up?
Yeah, the other theme I was wondering is like, what do I say? What you see is not what it is.
Love it.
Like a fact and truth.
Love it. Yes. And that's in the second paragraph, is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. The second paragraph, if we say the topic sentence or topic sentences,
yes.
right? The truth. Has truth anything to do with the facts? This is a very sort of, again, literary way to just say, does the truth have anything, right? This is just sort of very kind of poetic language, right? Like, has the truth anything to do with the facts? All I know is that no matter how many facts I might clutter my life with, I am as bound to the primordial drama of my family as the earth is to the sun. So again, I'm going to ask us now, if we say the theme has something to do with writing, certainty, truth, absolutely big picture ideas, right? Big kind of abstract concepts. And the narrative here is a little more unclear, but what's the narrative about? When she's standing cooking in the kitchen, who is she with, I guess? What's the narrative about then, so far?
Family?
Yes, here it says family. Ahmad, what were you gonna say? Same?
She's actually talking to herself.
Yeah, she's talking to herself about what? About who?
She's talking about her feelings because she's a writer and she tries to explain how do I put all these into the words.
Good. I agree. I agree. And I just want to make sure that I'm giving people examples. If Sarush is saying, Jeff, like, how do I connect theme and narrative? I want to make sure I've talked a lot about theme. Ahmad identified the theme perfectly. And I just want to show examples, but it's not just all theme here, right? She's weaving things together because like Hiro has said, we get a lot of big ideas, sentences, but we also see some specific details in some small narratives. So this year, my father, the son of a severe Prussian matriarch, watched me indulge my daughters and announced to me that he wished I had been his mother. This year, my 39th, my last year to be 30-something, my mother, who has a touch of magic, who can walk into the middle of a field of millions of clovers and find the one with 4 leaves, has begun to think I need help. So this is, again, I'd say more traditional narrative, right? She's saying, this year this happened, my father did this, he said that, my mother did this. And then of course we also get some descriptive writing as she introduces us to her mother. She uses, my favorite punctuation form is the dash. I use it too much because I love it so much. But we get some more information about her mom, right? She gives us descriptive details about the feeling kind of what her mom is like in the middle of telling us what her mom did, what her mom said to her this year, right? Now, again, I'm not asking you to write like this. I'm not asking you to write an essay that moves back and forth and back and forth. But again, I am asking you to ask yourself, what I know you all know how to do is tell a story. What I am trying to train you to do is when you tell the story, I want a little voice in your head asking, what does this story mean? Why am I including this detail? How is it connected to the feeling, to the theme that I want the reader to get, right? It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. Let it go. But I do want you to try it because it's fun when you can let go of trying to be perfect. It's really beautiful. Hiroe and then Osama, I think I saw your hand too. Hiroe, what's up?
So what I thought was she describes a lot of small conversations
Yes.
with families and
Yes.
about her children, but I think it itself doesn't have a big weight. But
Mhm.
through that, I felt, so what is the fact? Maybe the father thinks I would be a good mother for himself, but is it true or it isn't true? It depends on,
No, I think that's right.
you know, the stories is one thing, but second thing is, how do you judge the story? What do you see in the story? This is what the more she hears those stories and different opinions, the more confuses her. So what is the fact or
Good.
what is the truth? And
Good.
if she would write what she should write as a fact or truth.
Love it.
I don't know how to say it better.
No, you got it. That's great. I love it. Yeah. So Hiroe is sort of saying there, again, if you go back and watch the video of what Hiroe just said, I think you did a great job explaining what it is like to be a reader when you're reading these stories. I think Hiroe's thinking there was, okay, I noticed the author said this, the author did that. I'm not sure exactly what it means. Maybe it means this, maybe it means that. And I think that's a great way to explain what it's like to be a reader and ask yourself critical questions as you're reading. And I just also want to add to what Hiroe said. This is why it's so important for you as the writer now to have a clear theme, because your reader might get lost. Your reader might be like, wait, this could mean that, this could mean this other thing. But if you clearly say in your theme at the beginning what this essay is about, then you will guide the reader back to where you want them, right? And that's why, again, for this essay, just write, if you want to just write the sentence, you know, if you want to just write this, the sort of menu I'm giving you, good translation is possible. If you want to just put one of these sentences in your introduction and basically like put a big sign on it, right? And be like, this is my theme, this is my theme. That's totally fine. That's totally appropriate, right? Like, because all I really want you to do with this activity, this lesson, this writing is to practice connecting stories back to a theme as the writer. That's what I want you to do. Usama, what's up?
I was thinking about the theme is about her complexes, in complexes issue or object in her mind. There is some struggle. She is not really happy and not really sad. She is trying to find out some passes to go through. She's a writer. She likes to writing. She describes all the facts of her life. So I feel the theme is about her internal struggles, about her complexes. These things are going in different directions. Between she like to write, but she like her family and she like her mother and daughter.
Good. I love it. Great. I don't even want to add to anything. I think Osama did a great job explaining. Again, what I'm really happy to do this because if you're just listening and you don't want to talk again, that's so beautiful. That's great. Just remember as you're listening, I think you're hearing Hiroe and Osama both being, and Ahmad too, from what he offered first. This is good, again, more reading strategies, right? Like this type of thinking will help you when you read anything, right? If I could only, like, it's so funny because you could buy a whole book, like a 300-page book about how to be a better reader. And that's good, that's fine, right? But I think really the best thing to do when you're reading is to ask yourself, what is the writer trying to do? What is the writer trying to make me feel? Because if you keep asking yourself that question when you read, you're gonna become a better reader. And it's much better, I think, well, better. I think it's much more fun to ask yourself that question as opposed to like, what's the right thing? You know what I mean? Like, what's the thing I should understand, or I should know exactly what the writer is saying? No, I mean, like, no. Once you move past like level 50 ESL, I mean, like, there's almost never one perfect answer, so instead of asking yourself like, oh, what's the right thing that I should know perfectly from this reading? What is the writer trying to do? And I think Osama did a great job. She's writing about this. She feels like she's a writer. She's thinking about her family. She's cooking. She has these strong questions in her mind. And then by the end, we start to feel like, I think we should just keep going because you guys are bringing up great points. But then, yeah, you are building your own knowledge instead of waiting for the writer to like input the knowledge into your brain somehow, Natalia raised her hand. Please go ahead, Natalia.
Yeah, so can I conclude from your speech now that you don't expect us to have the only theme for this story? Because when I finished the story, I found another point of view that I think she tried.
Yeah, good.
So for me, the theme was not just that she repeated sometimes, but also she repeated also many times about the sources of writing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe we should just keep going, Natalia. The short answer is yes. Everything Natalia just said, I totally agree with. It's again, why translation matters is also beautiful, because you are all bringing different experiences and different knowledge with you to this story, right? Like, we're all reading the same story, but your past experiences are totally different than mine. So what you connect with, what feels like the most important idea to you, might be different than me, right? So what you find in the story, that's fine with me, as long as it's clearly connected, right? Like, so if I ask you, what's the theme of this story I stand here writing, it's not, I don't know, what would be like a crazy, it has to be clear that it's connected. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the theme of this story isn't, I don't know what, it's not a story about like eating vegan food or so. Do you know what I mean? Like, the theme isn't treat animals with love and care. Do you know what I mean? Like your interpretation has to be connected to what's actually on the page. But if some other idea makes sense to you, that's one of my favorite things about about my job, is that you guys see things in ways that I cannot, because you have different experiences that I have not had, you know?
Yeah, but then it will be interesting to get a feedback from you on this quiz.
I hope so.
Please.
Of course, of course. Ahmad, what's up?
I want to make a statement, Professor. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure, but for the other students, for me, in narratives, as my understanding, there are two important things. What is the theme, and the other one is the T statement, so-called, on the essays. That's where the students get confused. But the narratives, as my understanding, it's as I said, those are the two main parts. Theme is not the T statement, and we shouldn't get confused with that one.
Theme is not the thesis statement. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've taught, when I teach this, I go back and forth. I sort of change my mind about what to call this in this type of writing. Is this the main idea? Is this the theme? Is this the thesis? Yeah, it's the one thing so it's similar, because the thesis in a research paper is the idea that controls all the other ideas in the paper, right? And in that way, the theme is kind of like the thesis statement, right? Your theme, that's what I keep saying, right? Like your narrative should clearly connect to the theme, just like in a research paper, your body paragraph should definitely connect to your thesis. The difference is, in this type of writing, your theme is not just one sentence and you're done. Do you know what I mean? Like the theme is something that keeps showing up, that you keep reconnecting to throughout the writing. And that's a little bit different than in the research paper way. Does that answer your question, Ahmad?
Yes, Professor. That's I wanted to say to all, that it is two
Good.
different things. They are not the same thing when we are writing the narratives.
Good. And I totally agree. And if when you watch these videos or when you look at the instructions for this essay, you just are like, I don't know how to do this, I'm just going to write the theme as a thesis statement at the end of your first paragraph. Do that. Start there. That's fine. I'd rather you do that than I have no idea what the theme is. Do you know what I mean? So like, as you practice this genre, as you practice this type of writing, if you have to think about the theme like the one thesis sentence, do that. And then I'll tell you what I see and how I think you could improve. You know what I mean? Yeah, Fada.
So Professor, and that one I stand here writing.
Oh.
I wanna say something that I heard there was something like feminism expression, and I don't know where was that one.
I think it's
at the end.
I think it's here on page. Yes,
yeah, page the second one.
Yeah, at the very bottom. Yeah, here. Yes, tell me. So what are you thinking about?
Yeah, I thinking I want to connect these ideas with the title, that the writer the author want to say that I imagine that there was something a problem. I mean, through the gender, and she want to say I am as a female writer. I'm not just wanna cook and so I can do another things like hard jobs like writing. I don't know if I mean, I guess there's a connection between these two. I don't know if it's wrong or right.
Well, we're gonna keep going. I love that, Fada. So again, another example, you guys, if you're watching the recording or other people in the room right now, Fada, Ahmad, Hiroe, go back and listen, and Usama a little bit too. Go back and listen to what they just said, because these are great examples of being a critical reader, right? When you're reading, especially for us at 350, you guys, you don't need to be thinking, what are they saying? Did I understand every word? Let it go. But I do want you to be thinking, why is she saying this? Why is this important? How is this connected? Fada said feminism, and then connected feminism to cooking. I love that, right? The author doesn't do that like clearly, right? But that type of connection only happens when you're thinking, what's going on? Like, why is the person writing this? How is this connected to the theme, the thesis? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on there? What's going on there? I love those examples. So let's keep going. Let's keep going, and we'll just keep doing the same thing. So keep all of these ideas in mind. We'll go back to the chart that I've got here. Let's keep going and read maybe another page or two and keep talking. So I'm now here on page 422. Here at the beginning. Love is blind, but the neighbors ain't. Mary's father shot her little lamb dead, and now she carries it to school between 2 slices of bread. I hear these rhymes today, and they don't say to me what they say to my daughters. They don't seem so innocent. I hear them and think about the ways in which my neighbors in Indiana could only see my family as Jews from Germany, exotic strangers who ate tongue, outsiders who didn't celebrate Christmas. I wonder if my daughter Rachel needs to tell me her name in Urdu because she thinks we don't share a common language. These sources change meaning when I ask the questions in a different way. They introduce new ironies, new questions. I want to understand these living, breathing, primary sources all around me. I want to be, in Henry James' words, a person upon whom nothing is lost. These sources speak to me of love and loss, of memory and desire, of the ways in which we come to understand something through difference and opposition. 2 years ago, I learned the word segue from one of my students. At first, the word seemed peculiar. Segue sounded like something you did only on the Los Angeles freeway. Now I hear the word everywhere, and I have begun using it. I want to know how to segue from one idea to the next, from one thought to the fragment lying beside it. But the connections don't always come with 4-leaf clovers and the words good luck neatly printed beside them. My academic need to find connections sends me to the library. There are 11 million books in my university's libraries. Certainly, these sanctioned voices, these authorities, these published sources can help me find the connections. Someone, probably some 3,000 someones, has studied what it is to be the child of survivors. Someone has written a manual on how the granddaughter of a severe Prussian matriarch and the daughter of a collector of amulets ought to raise feminist daughters. I want to walk into the fields of writing, into those 11 million books, and find the one book that will explain it all. But I've learned to expect less from such sources. They seldom have the answers. And the answers they do have reveal themselves to me at the most unexpected times. I've been led astray more than once while searching books for the truth. Once I learned a lesson about borrowing someone else's words and losing my own. Let's pause here, actually. I'd say this is kind of she's shifting here now. Even in these paragraphs that I just read here, we get kind of, this connects back to what kind of came before it. So what we notice here, either about these ideas that we just talked, did any of these things come back up in these 3 paragraphs on this page? What did we notice about theme, narrative, and description here?
I noticed this truth and facts.
Yes.
About when she was describing about being Jew and how the other people think when they know the fact that they are the Jew and they do not celebrate Christmas. So that means that neighbors have a certain image already.
Love it. And here, because it was your good example, this section here about what part, this section where we get some of that information, there's definitely a theme in here. Do you see narrative or descriptive writing in here as well in this blue part?
No, it's got a little bit too small. I cannot see. Wait a moment.
Sorry about that.
No, it's not you. It's me.
I keep thinking of Sarusha's great question, which is how do we weave all these things together? I think so many times students are thinking, well, this sentence is for the theme and that sentence is for the narrative. And I think I was just trying to show an example. Even in these 2 short sentences, or this is only one sentence, right? I think this is kind of narrative writing. She tells a brief story, right? Like she doesn't say, when I was young, a child came up to me and he said this to my face or whatever, but this clearly happened in the past, right? She's thinking about these events, these narrative events in connection to, like Hiroe was saying here, about this theme about facts. What do we know? What do we not know? Facts and understanding, facts and knowledge. So again, yeah, I'm not asking you to write like this, but I do want you to start to see, as you keep reading the examples, how all this stuff overlaps and connects together and connects.
But can you tell us one more time about, I know I'm getting more confused about narrative and descriptive writing.
Yeah, sure.
Can you more tell us about?
Yeah, the short answer is good narrative writing will include descriptive writing, Hiroe. I just think it's important to separate a little bit the idea that a narrative, when you say a narrative, that means a story with beginning, middle, and end, okay? Descriptive writing is a part of good narratives because if you say, again, like what last weekend, I went to the store, I got in my car, I walked in the store, I bought some food, I went home. That's a narrative, you know what I mean?
Got it.
That's beginning, middle, and end. But it's kind of boring. There's not a lot of descriptive detail.
No, I got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but kitchen, the woman standing kitchen, and that you can even smell. You can use your senses. Got it. Thank you.
Exactly. Osama, you have an idea or question?
Descriptive writing is that writing, it makes us use our senses, our five sensations: hearing, looking, tasting, smelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'd say to Hiroe's excellent question, right? Like you can have a narrative without descriptive writing. Usually it's a boring narrative. You could also have descriptive writing that is not a narrative, right? Like I could write 1,000 words about, I don't know, you guys all see me. I could write 1,000 words about, I could describe this room that I'm sitting in, right? But that doesn't mean it's a story. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't mean there's a narrative. I could just say the wall, you know, the wall is this color, and you know, I could describe it in great detail. And that's why I think it's important to think about that they are different things, but again, for a good narrative, a narrative that people will enjoy to read, descriptive writing is you kind of have to do it. Do you know what I mean? Good. Anything else you noticed about these 3 paragraphs? I'll ask a question too. If did the theme come back up? Did we notice any theme stuff in these 3 paragraphs? Hiro is saying facts and truth and facts. I love that. Did we notice any other themes? How about in this paragraph? I'm thinking of Fada's example. In this paragraph, what do we notice?
I want to add something, Professor, on the previous paragraphs before the one where it starts. I want to understand this integrating. I think somehow with the different wording structure, she comes back to the theme of certainty, especially the last sentence where it says, I want to know how to segue from the idea to the next.
I agree. I agree with that analysis. What else do we notice in that paragraph or this paragraph I'm spotlighting?
And definitely there are some narratives when she learns about the segue, where she learned it.
Absolutely. This paragraph, definitely. Absolutely. She tells a story about, you know, when she was teaching and one of her students, and now she uses the word and how she, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Ahmad, absolutely. Yeah, so again, even in just one paragraph, I'll just say we keep returning to some of the big themes. So maybe in the narrative stories about family, maybe family in general is a theme, or women in her family. You know, we definitely get this idea of a Prussian matriarch, so her family raising feminist daughters, like Fada was talking about her daughters and feminism and some of those ideas earlier in the narrative or in the essay. And absolutely, like Hiroe was also saying, that the last word of this paragraph is truth, right? And she's definitely thinking facts and truth. What's going on? How do I know the difference between the two? So again, she's playing with a lot of different ideas. So even if it's not clear exactly how to do this, I hope that you're seeing, oh, the theme is important. I hope at least you're seeing, oh, the theme is important, because even in just these 3 pages we've read, these ideas keep coming back up. Family, women, truth. These keep coming back up in all these different narratives, whether she's standing at the kitchen, whether she's teaching one of her classes, right? Whatever, these things keep coming back to her, Does that make sense? Okay, I'm gonna keep going and then we'll talk. I'm moving on to page, still on page 422, right here at once. So again, I'd say right away, also looking, once I learned a lesson about borrowing someone else's words and losing my own. If you had to guess, what type of writing is gonna come next? Narrative, theme, or descriptive?
Narrative.
I agree, Ahmad, thank you. Yeah, I think this sentence is basically her saying, like, I'm gonna tell you a story about this thing, right? Like, once I learned a story about this thing. So now, again, as a reader, hopefully you're thinking, oh, cool. Like, the story will explain why she learned this or how she learned this, right? So, great. So, I was 14, light years away from 30-something. High school debate teams across the nation were arguing the pros and cons of the United States military aid policy. It all came back to me as I listened to the news of the Persian Gulf War, as I listened to Stormin' Norman giving his morning briefings, an eerie resonance, all our arguments, the millions of combative words, sorties, fired back and forth. In my first practice debate, not having had enough time to assemble my own sources, I borrowed quote cards from my teammates. I attempted to improve my position that the US should limit its military aid by reading a quote in my best debate style. Quote, W.W. Rostow says we should not give military aid to India because it will only exacerbate endemic rivalries. Under cross-examination, my nemesis, my enemy, Bobby Rosenfeld, the neighbor kid, who always knew the right answers, began firing a series of questions at me without stopping to let me answer. Nancy, can you tell me who W.W. Rostow is? And can you tell me why he might say this? Nancy, can you tell me what exacerbate means? Can you tell me what endemic rivalries are? And exactly what does it mean to exacerbate endemic rivalries? I didn't know. I simply did not know who W.W. Rostow was, why he might have said that, what exacerbate meant, or what an endemic rivalry was. Millions of four-leaf clovers couldn't have helped me. I might as well have been speaking Urdu. I didn't know who my source was, the context of the source, nor the literal meaning of the words I had read. Borrowing words from authorities had left me without any words of my own. My debate partner and I went on that year to win the Indiana State Championship and to place third in the Nationals. Bobby Rosenfeld never cross-examined me again, but for 20 years, he has appeared in my dreams. I'm not certain why I would dream so frequently about this scrawny kid whom I despised. I think, though, that he became for me what the Sea Dayak tribe of Borneo calls an Ngarong, a dream guide, someone guiding me to understanding. In this case, Bobby guided me to understand the endemic rivalries within myself. The last time Bobby appeared in a dream, he had become a woman. Okay, you guys, there's that by itself could be like if you wrote that 3-4 paragraphs like that and the theme was that clear, A+, you're good, right? That is a little example within this whole essay, right? Like that is a deep example. So what do we notice? Narrative, theme, details. What do we got? Osama, you look excited. Tell us.
It is impossible to write such like that.
Right now, yes, it is, but you'll get there if you keep going. Oh, so at least start then. But it wasn't impossible to read and appreciate. What do you notice?
I noticed that she returned back about her complexes, about her certainty, about this, the problems, the things she faced in her life. So these discussions and these narrative things, yeah.
I love it. Sir, I love, Osama said a lot, but even just certainty and uncertainty. He notices that in this little 4-paragraph story, within the story, certainty and uncertainty. That theme is right back in this example. Great. What else did we notice? Hiroe, go for it.
I'm not sure how to put it well, but I felt like when I was listening to this conversation between the other girl, asking a bunch of questions, and this, I felt like the author felt like I'm caught. Like, oh, I'm doing maybe the same things with other people, or other people are doing same thing with her family, just talking and telling the story without knowing the fact.
Oof.
So it's very risky. And maybe that's why that surprise, or how do I say that word? It was more than just that, like being asked so many questions. It made her to think a lot.
Yes, I love
and maybe it brought her back to when she writes. It makes her even more difficult for her to write things, because now she knows this impact.
Love it.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Even more important is I can tell you know what you mean, and what's the challenge is trying to explain it. So that's even more important. What else? Who else? What'd you notice? Ahmad, you got something?
Yes, I think by explaining this part, she tries to explain how her uncertainty changed to a certainty for her.
Oh, okay, go on.
And specifically in the last paragraph, where my debate partner, when she was so uncertain and bad, and they got the 3rd place in the nationals debate, and that's where she tries to explain that certainty and uncertainty keep switching back and forth.
Love it. Good. And I was thinking about, I said at the beginning, right? She kind of tells us, she has kind of like a small thesis statement at the beginning of this story. Once I learned a lesson about borrowing someone else's words and losing my own. So again, I'll ask, if Osama and Hiroe and Ahmad are the only ones who want to talk, that's fine. Natalia, people have talked, but anybody else, if you want to type in the chat, if you want to respond. I think that this story explains this feeling, right? Let's say this is like a small theme within the theme, a story about borrowing someone else's words and losing my own. Do you guys see how that narrative connects to that theme? And if the answer is no, turn on your mic and ask a question, because it's really important. Hadi.
Yeah, Professor, I think after this story, and I read another one, it was named, it's map. I forgot the name.
You got the keyword. You're good. Tell me what's up.
Yeah, I think this example is one level higher than a writing techniques. I think a little it comes to art, one kind of art.
Well, I mean, this is a literature class, I did.
Yeah.
We're doing poetry next, and then a novel. So don't get scared now. This is why you're in the class. This is why you get Cal State credit for this course.
Yeah, because after I read that story, I wondered how she could make an example about a fish.
Yes,
to connect it to the root of human. and the country. And this one too, I think it's a little higher than the regular rating and needs to find a good way to keep a theme soul with different example of our life.
Yes. So yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I just agree. But you didn't say this, but if the idea is, and it's too hard for you to do, I don't think so. And I'm not asking you to write something that will be published, Hadi. I'm asking you to look at these examples, see how the story connects to the theme, and then try and do that on your own. And then I'll tell you what I see. And I promise you, if you work hard and give it to me, I will work hard to give you feedback. And then you can do it again and make it even better. And as you'll see in this example, as we talk about what writing is, I don't talk about it in this class because we're up, at 350. But writing is not about, writing is a process. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all about it really never ends. One of my favorite poets, American poets, is Walt Whitman. His famous book is called Leaves of Grass. He was editing that book until his death. Do you know what I mean? Like, why I love that story is writing is never done. So I don't want you to put so much pressure on yourself that you feel like, oh man, I have to write an essay like this. No. But I do want you to put pressure on yourself to say, okay, Jeff says my story has to have a clear theme. That's all I'm asking, Hadi. You don't have to come up with an image like the salmon. You don't have to write like Nancy Summers. But you do have to understand what I'm asking you to do by looking at these examples and then try to tell a story that connects to a theme. And the only way to do it, I'm thinking of Sarush now, the only way to do it is to do it and then show me, and then I'll tell you what I see. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I could tell you exactly what to sit down and write, I mean, that's just not good teaching. But I don't know. I don't know what narrative you want to tell. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the great freedom of especially writing in 350 is you get to make it meaningful for yourself, Natasha, what's up? I see your little blue hand.
It's pink. Okay, you mentioned that a process of writing, yeah?
Yes.
And I believe this short story, the author tried to show us this process of writing. And you put in as a theme the writing in question marks.
Here, yeah.
I would put the process of writing because she is trying to show her hidden rooms of her brain. I don't know, or like her hidden rooms of the where she creates all this stuff, like writing.
Love it.
The brainstorming. She's switching there. She's showing the sources. She is give us some examples. In this story about how she write the story. I don't know. I see it.
I love it.
And also, I have a question. She talks about her urging that she's they speak Urdu. Urdu is an Indian language. Yeah, and she talking about Prussia. It's we say it Prussia. It's like Eastern Europe.
Yes.
And she's talking about Jew. Who is she?
What a beautiful question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the Prussian from the story? Do you remember who is the Prussian? Why is Prussia in there? Who is she talking about?
Her grandparents.
Yes, exactly.
And
correct.
there is no Prussia anymore. It's a old Imperia.
Absolutely.
It's it's a German roots there, but
yes, absolutely, Prussia, the Prussian Empire, exactly.
Yeah,
correct.
Prussian Empire. Yeah,
exactly correct. So then I'll ask you, Natasha. So I'm not asking you for the right answer. I'm asking you just from what we have read. Mm-hmm. Why do you think? Why is she talking about Prussia and Urdu and what's going on? What is she saying?
I don't know, like, and she's talking about she's Jew too, and I'm not like, who is she? Who is she?
Okay, and now I love that. I love that. And again, I'll say, so you said Prussian. Who's Prussian? Her grandparents, right?
Yeah,
Who's learning Urdu?
her child.
Yes. And so again, I'd say even if we're not clear on some of these details, I think that's why we could say all of those details and connections go back to this part of family. So maybe I'm with you, Natasha. We don't know exactly what she wants us to feel yet. All of those examples you gave us are connected to people in her family or the history of her family.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. And I love it. That's all I want to say. What else? Otherwise, I'll keep reading. Anything else about this example or anything else about what we've talked about? This is fun. I like going paragraph by paragraph, or it's fun for me. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm going to keep going. All right, so I'm here again. Now I'm on 423, I think. Yeah, I'm on page 423. If you're following along on a different screen, and I'm here at I learned. I learned a more valuable lesson about sources, and I'm also I should have added this. This is clearly, this word has come up a lot now, right? So I'd say, okay, I'm gonna add that as, maybe that's a theme. I mean, like stories about sources. And maybe we could say like Natasha, like.
It's about borrowed words, isn't it?
We'll get there, but I love Hiro's answering these questions.
Sorry.
But even if, no, please, that's what we're doing. But even if you're not sure, like Hiro, again, I'm trying to show you that type of active reading, critical reading that I was talking about earlier. Hopefully you noticed, okay, that word has come up like 10 times. So even if I don't know why or what she's trying, it's clearly this must be important. And again, right, themes usually returned to throughout the essay. And again, Natasha's great question. Prussia, Jews, Urdu, why does she keep talking about that? Sources, why does she keep talking about that? If you were thinking that way, you're going to start to notice, ooh, theme, that must be important. She must be trying to say something. You know, she must really want the reader to understand something. So I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure I got sources down. Okay. Yeah, question?
Yes. Almost all the stories we read it, or you already read it for us, it has different themes. It's not one theme.
Correct.
And when we write, when I get the feedback, it says we have to focus on one theme.
At least one. I'd say, so again, if you feel like you want to go for it and tell a long and complex story, tell that long and complex story, right? But again, we have different levels in the class. So like I said, if all you do is have a thesis sentence that is clearly a theme, and then you tell a story that connects to that theme, you're gonna get at least a passing grade on this assignment. That's what I want to make sure you can do. The rest of it is where we can really play. And again, this is 350, right? This is a literary class, so play as much as you want to play, guys. Do you know what I mean? Like, be as complex as you want. But I think I'm trying to make sure I present everything for the different levels in this class. Make sure you have one clear theme and your story connects to it, right? And then, you know, if you want to go deeper than that, go deeper. That's fine with me. Does that make sense, Gazman?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, of course. Ahmad, I see you. What's up?
I want to add something. I was confused. I read the story last night. I was confused. I had the same confusion like Gazwan. But today, as we go along, I see, I don't see those different themes. Rather, I will see like connective components to the main theme.
And that's why, yes, and that's why I agree with you, Hadi. Some of these narratives can feel a little more like literature, even though this still is not really literary. But I think Ahmad is correct. When I say complex, I sort of mean, okay, there's like, there's little mini theme, A, B, C, D, and E. Maybe you have all these different little themes, and they all connect back up to the big overarching theme, which for Ahmad, it sounds like clearly was uncertainty versus uncertainty, right? So, and again, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I think if I read some student say the theme of this story is clearly, obviously about certainty versus uncertainty, totally. I mean, that could make a lot of sense. If a student wanted to say the theme is clearly about family, that could make sense. Do you know what I mean? Again, as you keep going up the ladder, and you're going to be done with ESL, but you know, if you keep taking these type of classes where you're reading stories, that's the fun thing, I think, is a good story, usually you can take 2 or 3 or 4 really interesting, rich, complex, beautiful ideas and then write about those, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And the other thing I'll say, I like Gazwan saying, you start to see how these connect more. You know, last night it felt this way, but today it feels this way. A good story will change over time. The story works on us, you know what I mean? Like, over time, we find different things inside of it. So I think I can finish this section. We have 15 minutes. So I'll keep going a little bit more and make sure we leave some time. So just to keep going a little more, I learned a more valuable lesson about sources as a college senior. I was the kind of student who loved words out of context, words that swirled around inside my mouth, words like exacerbate, undulating, lugubrious, and zeguma. She stained her honor on her new brocade, wrote Alexander Pope. I would try to write zegumas whenever I could, exacerbating my already lugubrious prose. Within the English department, I was known more for my long hair, untamed and untranslatable, and for my long-distance bicycle rides than for my scholarship. For my senior thesis, I picked Emerson's essay, Eloquence. Harrison Hayford, my advisor, suggested that I might just get off my bicycle, get lost in the library, and read all of Emerson's essays, journals, letters. I'd picked one of Emerson's least distinguished essays, an essay that the critics mentioned only in passing. And if I were not entirely on my own, I had at least carved out new territory for myself. I spent weeks in the library reading Emerson's journals, reading newspaper accounts from Rockford and Peoria, Illinois, where he had first delivered Eloquence as a speech. Emerson stood at the podium, the wind blowing his papers hither and yon, calmly picking them up and proceeding to read page 8, followed by page 3, followed by page 6, followed by page 2. No one seemed to know the difference. Emerson's Midwestern audience was overwhelmed by this strange man from Concord, Massachusetts, this eloquent stranger whose unit of expression was the sentence. As I sat in the library, wearing my Question Authority t-shirt, I could admire this man who delivered his divinity school address in 1838, speaking words so repugnant, means this is bad, negative, to the genteel people of Cambridge that it was almost 30 years before Harvard felt safe having him around again. I could understand the Midwestern audience's awe and adulation as they listened, but didn't quite comprehend Emerson's stunning oratory. I had joined the debate team not to argue the US military aid policy, but to learn how to be an orator who could stun audiences, to learn a personal eloquence I could never learn at home. Perhaps only children of immigrant parents can understand the embarrassing moments of inarticulateness, the missed connections that come from learning to speak a language from parents who claim a different mother tongue. As an undergraduate, I wanted to free myself from that mother tongue. Four-leaf clovers and amulets of oppression weighed heavily on my mind, and I could see no connection whatsoever between those facts of my life and the untranslatable side of myself that set me in opposition to authority. And then along came Emerson. Like his Midwest audience, I didn't care about having him whole. I liked the promise and the rhapsodic freedom I found in his sentences, in his invitation to seize life as our dictionary, to believe that, quote, life was not something to be learned, but to be lived. I loved his insistence that the one thing of value is the active soul. I read that, quote, books are for the scholar's idle time, and I knew that he had given me permission to explore the world. Going into Emerson was like walking into a revelation. It was the first time I had gone into the texts not looking for a specific answer, and it was the first time the texts gave me the answers I needed. Never mind that I got only part of what Emerson was telling me. I got inspiration, I got insight, and I began to care deeply about my work. Today, I reread The Man Who Set Me Off on a New Road, and I find a different kind of wisdom. Today, I reread The American Scholar, and I don't underline the sentence, "Books are for the scholar's idle time." I continue to the next paragraph, underlining the sentence, "One must be an inventor to read well." The second sentence doesn't contradict the one I read 20 years ago, but it means more today. I bring more to it. And I know that I can walk into text after text, source after source, and they will give me insight, but not answers. I've learned too that my sources can surprise me. Like my mother, I find myself sometimes surrounded by a field of four-leaf clovers, there for the picking, waiting to see what I can make of them. But I must be an inventor if I am to read those sources well, if I am to imagine the connections. So again, really dense, right? Really deep ideas there. But before we run out of time, perfect. And again, I think some people were saying they had to go. That's beautiful. Always feel free. What'd you notice, right? Dense story, but again, just sort of one narrative here about something that happened to her. I'd say this is a story about, if I'm going to add to our list here.
I feel there is another theme, investigations. Investigate about different things. Yes, and she wants to be sure from the things.
Love it.
Confused it.
Love it. I'd say, again, we don't need to worry about this too deeply. I would say, I agree, Osama, and I'd say, just like Ahmad said, learning and investigation, this might go back to like Hiroe was saying too, certainty and uncertainty, truth and facts. Do you know what I mean? Like, you start to see how, whether we call this a different theme or this, it doesn't really matter. They do connect together, right? So learning and investigation, I hope you see, Osama, I'm sure you do, how that's connected to facts and truth, right? Or certainty and uncertainty. How do I know what's real? Okay, yeah, that's all I want to say. That's all I want to say. Great. What else do we notice?
Because it is very difficult language. It is above of my level. But I try to focus hardly to understand it.
That's funny because I feel like you just gave very good insight and wisdom into this story. So if you didn't understand it, I think it might be hard for you to give the comment you just made, but I understand what you're saying, yes. Okay. You know, that's me. I'm always like, I'll push you. I got your back. I'm here. I'll help you any way you need, but I am going to be like, go, keep going, keep going.
Yes, I'm going.
I know you are, Osama. I know you are. Easy's boring, you guys. Easy's boring. Hard is much more fun, and I try to make it easy so you don't have to worry about the grade. I'll give you all an A. I don't care, but push yourself. That's like she's saying in the story, right? That's what education, I think, is for. Anyway, what else do we notice? What else do we notice? I'd say you can talk about anything, but this paragraph is dense with themes. There's a lot going on here, right? Yeah, Gazwan.
What's about motivation?
Tell me, do you have a sentence or an example from that story that you could connect that to?
Oh yeah, when her professor or teacher told her take off your bike,
yes,
and go more for the library, there's a kind of motivation to reading more. As you're saying, when we read more, we're gonna be good in writing.
Great. And again, this is an example of a narrative detail, right? There is this story about her professor, her advisor says, go do this thing. And again, I love what Gazwan is doing there. he's saying, ooh, that seems important. What does that mean? What does that connect to? And that is exactly the type of reading I want you to be doing, right? So yes, what else? Anybody else? What do you see? Hiroe, get in there.
I don't remember where exactly it was about clover at the end.
Yes.
I thought the clover that the mother had is
Yeah.
like a source to me.
Yes.
And what you make out of it is her struggles.
Woo! I love it.
Okay, you understand what I mean?
I do, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Again, Hiroe is getting us ready for everybody. All this stuff is getting us ready for poetry and fiction, but Hiroe is sort of thinking, how does this image, just like the salmon in last week's story, and a map is only one story, what's the clover? Because the clover keeps coming back. And I think Hiroe is making a really exciting idea when she says maybe that's like a source. Maybe the four-leaf clover is the same as a book in a library. It gives us some information. It gives us some knowledge. Again, we could go down, we could do that. We could sort of spend time thinking about that. But I love that. I love that, Hiroe. Absolutely. And again, if we think about themes, the clover is connected to her mother, and her then we start to get mother, okay, family, okay, feminism and women, and all this stuff starts to get connected. And again, if you're like Usama, or if you're like Natasha or whoever, and you're thinking, wow, this is complex, it is. That's why I'm not asking you to do a graduate level analysis of this, story. I just want you to start to play around and see how different authors use thematic writing, narrative writing, and descriptive writing to do this type of genre. Usama, what's up?
I feel also when you read more and more, I feel some integration about the object she wrote about them.
Yeah.
We are accumulating the information, what she wants and what she suffers from, and how she has her own way in description, in narrating, or in her theme. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. This is the most I've ever read to a class. Like I tell other teachers that I'm doing this, they're like, I don't know. This, I'm just trying everything different for this online stuff, you guys. But like I said, my goal is that if I read it to you, I'm speaking to be understood. So if when you listen, you understand the story, and then we can just get to the ideas instead of, what was that? What did that mean? Like, I don't want you to feel lost about like even understanding the story, what happens. I think my goal is that I can take care of that for you. I can speak it in a way that you understand the ideas. Because then we're done with that. And I think students get stuck there. Students think, oh, I can't analyze this, or I can't write about this because I don't understand every word. It's like, dude, reading quizzes are boring. You know what I mean? On page 57, what did this person say to that? Who cares? Who cares? I'm never going to ask you to read something unless I think it will teach you something new or interesting. We're just about out of time. Hiroe, what's up?
I haven't read this story, that's why I cannot make any statement, but I thought about Clover is more deeper than just what I said before. I wanted to just say something about this mother has a hard childhood.
Yes.
And families, but the author was saying she is an optimistic person and thinking positive, and she put like a Clover in a book as a, what do you call it, book?
Pressed in a book or draw, yeah.
Correct. So if this would be her real symbol, like this is who she is or she likes to be. So I'm not sure how this goes into the author's thought after this paragraph. Maybe it's coming back more as a more symbol.
Almost.
What is real,
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. We don't have time to finish, so I encourage you, finish this essay. It's quite lovely. But yeah, I think I'll just say yes, Hiroe, it comes back.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will read.
So we're just about at time. As always, if you got to go at 2:15, go. But what I want to know is, I want you guys to feel ready to just do your first draft, to just try. Do you guys feel ready to try? And if not, what do you need? I know Gazwan's ready. He sent me his second draft. I'll look at it soon.
I'm just waiting for your answer so I can submit it, because I have just 2 times, right? And today is the last day for second draft.
No, today the invention activity was due. So that'll be, again, like I said, my goal is to grade everything by Monday. So I'll probably start with the invention activity so that I can give you some feedback on your ideas, right? And after that, Hirway just left by Hirway. And then after that, hopefully you'll be ready to sit down and write. So Gazwan, I got you. I know you're a special case. Don't worry at all, Gazwan. I'll take care of you. How about anybody else? You guys, what do you need from me to feel like you're ready to sit down and write?
Yes, I want to ask not to give us any assignments this week.
That's already done. And I think I said that last week too. Yeah, nothing there's nothing
except the writing. Yeah.
That's it. And the reading and writing. I think I said that last week, right? What it's in Canvas now, that's all there is until we're done with the first draft.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep. Natasha. Good. What else? Anybody else?
I have 2 things.
Good.
The first thing is about the quiz of the phrasing. The paraphrasing questions, the last 2 questions, the text is really very difficult.
Oh, good. Okay. Someone else brought this up. Ahmad or Gazwan, or I forget who. Someone did.
Yes, I'm trying to do it, but I think it's difficult. This is
maybe I'm thinking maybe we'll just look at this next week. Maybe we should just spend time with lesson 15 next week. So did you submit already, Usama? Did you submit it?
No. The last paragraph needs to be completed. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But I submit the quiz after our story.
Yeah. I'll say this again for everybody, for USO, for everybody. If you didn't do paraphrasing yet, don't do it. Just read the narratives and focus on your writing. Okay. So, and we'll talk about the paraphrasing. We will talk about lesson 15 next week. Okay. So don't stress about that. By
I need another point.
Oh yes, I know you had 2 points. I just want to make sure I'm on the record for everybody, right? Don't stress about paraphrasing. Focus on the narrative. Yes. What's your second point, Osama?
My second point is about my story. I submit the last quiz and I wrote about the story which I am selecting. I need your approval to go on to write my assignment, my article, my story.
Did you already submit? You submitted the draft already?
Yes, yesterday.
Okay, and you want feedback? You want my suggestions or ideas?
Go on to start to work on my.
Will you, Usama? Will you email me what you submitted? If you email me, then I'll remember. If you don't, then I might forget that it's in Canvas. So just email me with that document and just say, please read, and I'll read it and send it back to you. I promise.
You asked us about the team which we select and about the story.
Yes.
You asked us different questions about
for the invention activity. The invention activity or something?
Yes, I will. If you want, I will take this paragraph and put it to you. Okay.
Okay, perfect. And I'll look at that. Like I said, when I start grading, probably today I'm lots of Zoom today, but tomorrow when I start grading, I'm going to start with that activity, Osama, so that you guys can get feedback on that right away too. So email me what you got. I'll take a look at it and then I'll grade the invention activity soon.
Okay, so I'll email it and you will see. Okay. Okay. Good.
Hadi, what's up?
I wanted to make sure, Professor, then we should answer invention activity based on our example, right?
Yes. So at the beginning, I'm asking you about, so did I stop screen sharing? Hold on. I'm going to put the screen share back on. So this is the quiz, right? So what example, this is about the story you choose. This could be about I stand here writing like we did today, right? Which was your favorite? Why was this your favorite? No wrong answer, just describe why. What's the theme? And paraphrase part of the narrative. So just practice paraphrasing.
Okay.
Then this is question 5. The rest of these questions are about helping you plan for what you will write. So choose the theme, right? Which theme are you going to choose? And like I said, choose one of these. And if you're stressed, like I'm thinking of Letty, just choose good translation as possible is a really nice, big, kind of easy theme. Translation's important for human history, big, nice, easy theme. So like I said last week in the video, you can just copy and paste one of these into this answer, right? So just tell me which theme you think you're going to write about, and then say why in question 6. And question 7, do you have a personal story, right? This is what I said last week as well. The answer has to be yes. If you say no, then don't choose that theme. And then question 8 is just a chance for you to sort of explain what is the story, and how is it connected to that theme? Does that make sense, Hadi?
Yes, yes.
And again,
Thank
I'm not worried about this being perfect. What I am worried about is that forcing you to try to think this way and write this way. Does that make sense?
Yes. But Professor, I'm wondered when I read that example. Some of sentence I think I never forget.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
That is
Go, with these examples, listen to some of the files. Some of those are even easier. Listen to the stories that I'm just saying instead of have written down, and just skim it. You know what I mean? You don't need to spend 4 or 5 hours with every story. You can, I think that's great, but you don't have to, right? I don't want you to feel like you need to understand every detail. I want you to get a lot of practice reading a narrative and asking yourself, what's the theme? How do I know? What words did this author say many times? That's the kind of skill I want you to practice when you're reading this.
But do you know, Professor, sometimes some story it's very exciting and I need to focus on that and enjoy it more. Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Again, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure. Who else? Let's see thank you too, Hadi. You too. Yes, tell me.
I submit the linguistic, but I cannot try the second time. Can I try the second time to fix it? Because today I hear you explain, I think I do wrong some. So.
Yeah, I think if I have it set to 1, I need to change it. Let me probably not today, but when I go to grade these, I can update that if you want to resubmit. Yes.
Yeah, I want to resubmit that.
I'll do it.
Thank you so much.
Of course. What else? Sarush, Fada, Natalia, anything from you guys? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I have a question, Professor.
Please. Yes, please.
I wrote it in the chart, but maybe you can.
Yes, please.
If you could please look through the linguistic quiz, because there I answered the questions that were related to upcoming essay.
Yes.
Just in case to be sure that I think in the right way,
That's what I was trying to say.
The story, yeah.
That's what I was trying to say to Hadi. When I start to go deep in the grading, that's going to be the first thing I grade, Natalia, so that I can give you some feedback on that stuff.
Yeah. If it's possible, just the first lesson to grade, not to grade, just to look through. And I also have a plenty of other lessons that are not graded. If you could please look on them.
Yeah.
Just in case, you know why? Because just in case if I was wrong, because it's so difficult now to come back, to go back again, do it, because I forget,
No, my goal is to, like I said, I'm going to start with the invention activity so that you can get feedback on your idea, and then, but I want to be I want everything in Canvas to be graded for all of you by Monday, next Monday. So good news. Yeah, good news for you, for all of you guys.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you, Natalia. Cool. Osama, anything else before I end class?
No. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure to see you as always.
Yes. Me too. Bye-bye.
Have a great afternoon.
Have a good